What's basically happening here logically is that your body's missing some of the mineral and vitamin tools that it uses in its antioxidant defense system. So it's not able to defend itself from that oxidation that's happening there. So you're basically being handicapped. But the rate at which you particularly will develop white hair is genetically determined. So you can only make it worse by being deficient. Hello friends, welcome to week 9's Q&As, joined by my lovely wife Lucie.
Hi guys.
We'll be answering some more of your questions. Lucie, what's the next one?
The next one is by Sunshine Photography 99. He said, this probably won't get voted, but I wouldn't mind you addressing premature graying. I've heard that it can sometimes be from a disrupted endocrine system, deficiency in micronutrient like copper, stress or genetics. I'm suffering from it, and I know a lot of others are as well.
Thank you, Lucie. Good question. Sunshine Photography, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, or her name. So first of all, let me tell you that the most, I've studied this topic just out of curiosity historically. The most relevant thing to premature graying, the most predictive element is having premature graying already in your family. So it is genetically predetermined to some degree. We don't know very much about the individual polymorphisms that seem to affect premature graying, but I don't believe that they are necessarily correlated with aging quickly. Although the actual graying itself is definitely a part of aging. It's actually aging at the hair follicle bulb, which I'll describe in a little bit more detail in a second. But for example, my mother's family, in fact, my mother's father's family, have premature graying throughout the family. In fact, I have graying hair to a less degree than them, and probably because of them. But that family also has a tremendous amount of centenarians, which is very unusual in the US. I know of at least 5 centenarians in my extended family from that side. And they all have white hair in their 20s and 30s. So don't be too worried about it initially. Second of all, white hair is cool. I mean, I know everyone's different the way they think about it, but there's an important thing to value age in society. We try to run away from being older. We try to disguise our age. And really, we should be proud of our age. Because with age comes wisdom. At least if you're paying attention, right? So that's just my personal opinion. Now, basically, premature graying is defined differently according to the race. So white people, they call it premature if they gray before the age of 20. Whereas Asians, they'll say it's premature if it's before the age of 25. And African Americans, they say if it's premature if it's before the age of 30. What does this mean? This means that on average, African Americans gray the least, Asians gray in between, and Caucasians gray the quickest. What happens during graying is this. Your hair follicle has something called a melanocyte. It's on the root. There's melanocytes, several of them. And each melanocyte is connected to several, like 4 or 5 keratinocytes. Now in your skin, by the way, you also have melanocytes, but they're connected to 30 or more keratinocytes. Okay. So a different structure. What happens from what we know about graying is that oxidative damage happens at the hair follicle location. And that oxidative damage damages the ability of the melanocyte to produce melanin. There's actually 2 kinds of melanin that are produced. One is called phospho-melanin and one is called eumelanin, depending on whether you have red or brown hair. But anyway, it damages the melanocyte's ability to produce melanin. When it does this through a genetic factor. So there are some studies that show that gene expression at the melanocyte is different in one person's head between the hair that is white and the hair that is, or not white, but pigmentless, and the hair that has pigment. So the actual genes are changed. These genes clearly are changed because of the oxidation, and the reason we know that is that also when you look at the hair bulb of the white hair, there is more reactive oxygen species there and less antioxidant activity there than at the other one. So basically you're incurring oxidative damage that is changing the expression of genes in the area and making the melanocyte incapable of producing pigment. Under a microscope, the melanocyte will also become fuzzy. It looks damaged visibly. So basically what's happening is you're getting oxidative damage at the actual hair root, and this is damaging your hair's ability to produce melanin because it does not have the same genes there, and it is damaged. So, what else should I mention on this topic? So basically, the other thing about it that's well known is that he mentioned copper. So there are people who have white hair tend to have worse statuses of B vitamins. Specifically, they have worse statuses of folic acid, they have worse statuses of biotin, and they have worse statuses of B12, I think. Yeah, B12. And they also have worse statuses of copper, of iron, and of calcium. And the iron seems particularly significant because although I don't recommend people to have too much iron, but for other reasons, but iron, it mediates tyrosinase activity. Tyrosinase is what so hello friends again, it stopped recording, so we had to restart it. So I was talking about the micronutrients that are relevant to hair pigmentation. So as I said, the B vitamins, B12, folic acid, biotin, as well as those are found to be deficient in people that are having this issue, as well as copper, calcium, and iron being potentially one of the most important. So these things are found deficient in people that are graying. So if you're trying to prevent yourself from graying more, you want to make sure your mineral and B vitamin status is on par. So, a good source of, you can find, everyone knows how to find calcium, but good source of iron, as well as copper, as well as the B vitamins is liver. So if you're eating enough liver, you probably are going to lower the rate at which you're developing this. And another thing I should mention is also omega-3 fatty acids are found in lower quantities in people who have premature graying.
Really?
Yeah, but the thing is, what's basically happening here logically is that your body's missing some of the mineral and vitamin tools that it uses in its antioxidant defense system. So it's not able to defend itself from that oxidation that's happening there. So you're basically being handicapped. But the rate at which you particularly will develop white hair is genetically determined. So you can only make it worse by being deficient.
I see.
Yeah, so, to be honest with you, my hair is graying and I like it. I actually don't mind it at all. In fact, I wish it would happen faster, except I don't want the oxidation. So I actually like it, but I don't want the oxidation, so I don't necessarily want to increase the rate at which it happens.
So is there any topical solution, like antioxidant solution that you can put to try to slow it down, or it would not work?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I think that there should be. I think that I don't think this has been researched that much, but I think that if you apply these things topically, you may get a different benefit as well. But I'm not sure, because the oxidation is happening, like you said, it's happening literally there. Of course, this is hard to do if you have hair. I don't know how you would put it in your head, but that's a good point. It's something to look into for sure. I don't think it's been researched that much. All right, thank you guys for your questions. We'll see you next week.